What if everything we chase means nothing? And what if the things we ignore are everything? Let's answer that question by exploring the real beauty in American Beauty. The film opens like a typical suburban satire with white picket fences, neat lawns, you see an entire neighborhood, there's polite smiles, and within 5 minutes, it tells you that the lead character is going to be dead.
I'm 42 years old. In less than a year, I'll be dead.
And in many ways, he's dead already. It starts with a midlife crisis, but we slowly realize it's a film about pretending, about being stuck in roles we never actually get out of, and about how we actually define beauty, success, and self-worth in a world that's actually obsessed with appearances. Every character in American Beauty is actually putting on a performance. Carolyn is playing the perfect wife. Angela is playing the sexy popular girl in school. Ricky plays the edgy filmmaker next door who's really all about his own freedom. Even Jane, Lester's daughter, plays the misunderstood teen trope. They are actually all trapped by how they want to be seen and not who they really are. That asks the question, what does true beauty and success really look like? Lester Burnham is a man who's checked actually every box. Steady job, house, family, but he actually feels invisible. Now, he's not depressed because his life is bad or there's anything wrong with it, but actually he's feeling empty within. Now his wife Carolyn is obsessed with control and with appearances and how the external world perceives them. Their daughter Jane barely speaks at home. She's actually obsessed with her physicality and wants to explore her own beauty and what she thinks is actually beautiful for the world. Now their world is running on autopilot and everyone is playing a version of themselves that they think the world wants to see, and that's the trap. Now one of my most favorite scenes in this movie is where Carolyn decides,
I will sell this house today.
Now it's not just darkly comic because she's saying it over and over again.
I will sell this house today.
But it's actually quite heartbreaking and devastating. Now she's crying while screaming affirmations at her own reflection in the mirror, because in this world, it's like success must be performed and showcased. You have to keep saying it so that you believe it yourself and you actually push yourself to the point where you reach success by hook or by crook. And that's the point. This isn't just Lester's crisis, it's actually everyone's crisis in the movie. Lester's awakening actually begins when he decides to stop performing one day. He quits his job and starts working out in a spectacular fashion, starts working in a fast food joint, which is so cool. He buys the car he's always dreamt about in high school, drives it across the highway, singing out loud, and starts smoking pot, which is kind of like his way of showing rebellion. It's actually more rebellion and more regression. He's actually trying to reclaim something he's actually felt he's lost. His freedom, his control, his identity, but trying to find some sense of meaning in these frivolous endeavors. But his new sense of liberation is also flawed. He becomes obsessed with Angela, his daughter Jane's teenage friend, not because he truly desires her, but because he thinks she represents youth and what he thinks beauty should look like. Yeah, I know. It is twisted, but that's maybe how twisted the idea of beauty really is. It's uncomfortable because it is meant to be uncomfortable for everyone watching. Now, the film constantly plays with this idea of beauty. You can see Carolyn is actually making, the best roses in her garden. Angela is doing her makeup. There's the perfect furniture at home. All these exterior symbols that actually define what a beautiful, successful life should look like. Now, of course, in one of the most iconic scenes, Ricky, the neighbor, finds one of his recordings, something he actually captured. And he shows this recording on television, which is just a bag of plastic floating midair. Now, this is just a metaphor, and it shows us that even the most meaningless things in life have some kind of meaning if we choose to see the meaning in them. And whenever I get upset or anything goes wrong in my life, I always remember this plastic bag scene because
It's hard to stay mad when there's so much beauty in the world.
yes, in tiny things like this, in very mundane, very obvious things on the road can be absolutely beautiful. That moment, very calm, very strange, very quiet, is what the movie actually is about. It's that real beauty isn't curated. Now, it's not about being on a magazine cover or really being, the most rich person in this society. It's actually about noticing these very mundane moments of life that actually have the most amount of beauty. But to actually realize it is a completely different game altogether, especially for the characters in this film. Now, Carolyn can't cry unless she's alone. Angela is pretending to be confident but admits she's actually never been with anyone, even though at the beginning of the film, she claims,
Every guy there would stare at me when I walked in. And I knew what they were thinking. Just like I knew guys at school thought about me when they jerked off.
You can see Ricky's father has also got his own turmoil up his head. He's hiding in his own identity behind his, so-called military discipline. He's actually not truly accepted himself and is pretending in a very, very, toxic way. And I won't spoil things for you because if you haven't seen it, then, I won't mention this point. Very interesting character, how relatable he gets and how relatable it is to the fact that he's actually not confronted some emotions within him that need to be confronted. Now, every character is looking for some kind of validation, for some success, for sex, for bullet firing from a gun, that makes you feel like you are in control. But none of it actually satisfies them because they're chasing something on the outside, an external image, which they think can complete them. It's not true beauty, which is actually intangible. By the end, Lester finally sees through it. He smiles at an old family photo, not because he's won or achieved something, but because he's finally seeing what matters. Connection, love, presence, all the things we actually take for granted because we can't touch or hold it or, we can't feel it's tangible. And before you know it, he's gone. And then we see Lester's final monologue, which is one of the most heartfelt monologues, summing up what the film is all about. In the final moments, after everything is done, a gift, a mess, and a miracle. Now, what's interesting is that screenwriter Alan Ball wrote the script while being trapped in a soul-sucking sitcom writing job.
The genesis of the idea for me was the Amy Fisher, Joey Buttafuoco business in New York City. When I was living there, I was working at Adweek, and I came out one day and some guy was selling a comic book.
And this film won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography. Not just because it told a great story, but because it held up a mirror to all of us in a painful and precise manner. It made us confront how external our lives have become, how everything we are chasing is success and beauty and approval and everything on the outside, turning into either a badge of worth or a reminder of our emptiness. And American Beauty dares to ask some deeper question, like what true beauty really is. Share this with someone who needs to rewatch it. Follow for more Storyverse. And if you love to time travel through cinema, then do watch some of our other videos. I, of course, will see you in the next one.